Hey, welcome to the Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast. We are your hosts, Eric Sturgeon.
And I'm Russell Sari.
This podcast is about all things Wisconsin, history, music, culture, and beer. Although we don't often use strong language, the content is not intended for young audiences, so listener discretion is advised.
If you love the bluegrass music you hear in this intro, please check out Dang It's from Madison, Wisconsin by visiting their website, dang-its.com. Now on to the show.
Yo! Welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast, your weekly dose of the Dairy State. We, of course, and as always, are your hosts, Eric.
And I'm Russ, baby.
Yeah. And today we are talking about some really cool historical stuff in our hometown of Elkhorn, Wisconsin.
Oh, Compton.
What up, represent E-Town. Today we are talking about the Webster House Museum. It's a field trip that is an absolute must and that we all remember if we were in the Elkhorn School District. It's absolutely a staple. We also have great Wisconsin music in this episode from North Breese. We have another Brewski review, which is also another staple. Like, we have to drink a beer and tell you about it.
You need a beer.
You need a beer, and we got to tell you about it.
All right.
We have another edition of the infamous How Many Locos You At, as well as an interview with Modicum Brewery. If you have been listening lately, you'll notice some new Locos intro, and that's from a really cool friend of ours, Adam, and his dad, Scott, and a cast of cool crew.
Really awesome.
The bass player is from the UK area. She's absolutely amazing. And they go by Sons of Leroy. So go check them out. They are on YouTube. I think they have a Facebook and an Instagram as well. So check them out. Buy their music on iTunes or Apple, whatever. Apple Tunes. Whatever. Apple Juice. I don't know.
Apple Dog.
You just buy their tunes on Apple Juice. As always, please remember to go on and like, rate, subscribe, review, follow us on all the stuff. And when you hit the little subscribe button, there's also a bell that you can hit if you want to be notified. Either way,
Ding-a-ling-o.
Definitely hit us up.
Hey.
Visit our website, wisconsindrunkenhistory.com. We have links to everything that we do on there, including Patreon and also TeePublic. So hit that stuff up. We've got some really cool content planned and also some neat content that's already been posted.
Yeah, and one of my coworkers, Steph Sybeck, awesome graphic artist, made a lot of our shirt designs. You're going to go on our TeePublic and see some sick designs.
I remember very early on
she's super cool.
We had to pay her for helping us with
the artwork. Yes.
Artwork and logos and all the different stuff that goes into that. And we met her in Waukesha, and her husband, rather. And that was really fun. That was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were being safe about it all. But it was really cool to kind of connect with somebody who helps us out much with that.
She's one of the coolest people I've ever met at a job I had. So I worked at Generac.
Extremely talented.
We've talked about. So I worked at Generac, and I was an engineer.
Where'd you work?
Generac.
McDonald's.
And she was one of the graphic artists there, and like immediately like the coolest person I've ever met. Honestly, her desk was like full of like Funko Pops and like just cool things. Like, it was just she's just a good person all around. She came to my birthday. I mean, that was really cool. Like,
you had a birthday?
It was in at the German
September?
Beer Hall, and a lot of the graphic artists came out there, and we had a good time. We got trashed and we played some Hammerschlagen.
Nice.
So that's my best memory of Steph, and she's just a good person all around. Her husband's cool too, really cool guy.
Yeah,
and they're just good people.
Yeah.
So.
Which is all that we try to surround ourselves with. If you're good, if you're cool people, that's all it takes.
Drink a brew with us. Yeah. You're cool in my book.
And that's
if
something
you're in
that you
Wisco,
can
have a brew. You're cool.
That's something that you can enjoy being a patron. So if you follow us and subscribe to us on Patreon, it's very cheap, but it helps keep the lights on. It helps keep things turning. Helps us be able to deliver this content to you. So follow us on there. Give us a like. And let's go ahead and jump into our episode here on the Elkhorn Webster House. What the hell is this place?
You've been there. Come on.
I've been there, yeah. I was. Why don't you tell everybody else?
Many of our listeners know we come from a small southeastern town called Elkhorn, Wisconsin, the Christmas card town, and probably have heard some of our tales regarding this minute Midwest town.
Yeah, shitting on porches, and
we've done some greasy shit in that town. Elkhorn was discovered in the early 1800s when Colonel Samuel Phoenix spotted a rack of elk antlers and some trees and proclaimed, "Hey there, this is Elkhorn there, guy. Hey,
I don't think he sounded like that.
He did. He was a New Yorker.
I think he sounded more like Colonel Sanders.
How does that sound?
Hey, get some chicken.
All right. Cool. Elkhorn there, hey. I don't know how that fucking sounds, but hey, we're going to keep moving. I have some good and some bad memories growing up in here in this, and funny stories. Of course, you've probably heard a lot of our funny, hilarious stories in Elkhorn. We've had a lot of experiences there. But one field trip that every kid who goes to Elkhorn remembers, and it's a local historical site called the Webster House. Do you remember it? And many of you may not know the history behind this little white house. And this will lead us to the tale which we talk about today. You ready for this, Eric?
I am, yeah.
So the house was a Greek revival-style cottage that was originally constructed in 1836, years before Wisconsin ever became a state in 1848. It was originally located in Elkhorn's Public Square, which is now the courthouse. And if you go downtown, you're going to see the courthouse. We do like our Christmas displays over there.
It's not even the courthouse anymore.
It's not anymore. They moved
now the city police department.
It's like the city police department. I don't know what else is in there right now.
I have no idea.
We used to skateboard there all the time. Remember, you get kicked out pretty much weekly.
There was a 3-stair over there that everybody used to do.
We used to get kicked out weekly, and that was like a normal thing. I remember hiding from the cops in a dumpster because they were like right there. It was stupid to skate there because the cops were right there. I'd jump into the dumpster to hide. I'd hide in my stepmom's car so the cops couldn't find me because I knew she worked there. Her Corsica at the time. It was like
I would literally run.
It was a late 90s, so it was a Corsica, okay? Give me a break here. So the building was also used for court cases until the real courthouse could be built in this area. And the building originally only measured about 18 by 22 foot, and it was just a one-story home. And in 1840, the land office would be moved to the present site in the LeGrand Rockwell, by LeGrand Rockwell, who's a very famous Elkhorn first pioneer in the area. Yeah. We all know the name if you're from Elkhorn. Rockwell would add an east wing to the building, but the home would eventually be sold to a musician and composer named Joseph Philbrick Webster in 1857.
And I'll tell you right now, Joseph Philbrick Webster, really awesome stuff.
Elkhorn, baby. Webster would add a kitchen onto the building as well as a front and back parlor. The back parlor was actually used as a music room, and we will talk about Webster in just a bit regarding the musical fame. He also added a dining room, large kitchen, constructed 3 bedrooms in the upstairs area. And so before we move on to the Webster House, let's just look over the Joseph Webster history and where he came from and how he landed in the Elkhorn area. And Joseph Webster, commonly known as J.P. Webster, and if you don't know the 1800s naming convention, like I'm R.L. Sorry.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're E.P. Sturgeon.
Yep.
That's like our 1800s name. And he was born on February 18th of 1819 in Manchester, New Hampshire. He always had a love for talent for music and went on to study with distinguished composers of the time, Lowell Mason and George James Webb, just to name a few. And these were big dogs around the turn of the century.
Oh, yeah.
And he would go on to perform with the Swedish Nightingale as a singer, along with Jerry Lind as pianist. After touring most of the Eastern United States, including New York, he would eventually come to the Midwest to perform, and eventually decided he wanted to settle in the Racine area. And we all know Racine, Wisconsin area.
Shifty.
It's a little sketch.
It is now.
It's a little sketch. It's not bad. You know, they have a really cool zoo there.
They got a good supper club there too.
Yeah, Racine's not that bad. They definitely have some sketch, but that's everywhere. I mean, there's sketch everywhere you go nowadays.
True.
And due to him in 1859 developing what is commonly known as the Lake Michigan throat. And for those that don't know, it's actually a severe type of bronchitis, which the lake breeze comes in, cold and hot months, so your body's having trouble reaching homeostasis, causing like sore throat, laryngitis, maybe common.
A lot easier to manage with more modern medical.
Exactly, but back then they didn't have all this cool shit that we have now. So, and after this decade, to move a bit away from Lake Michigan, he decided to settle in Elkhorn, Wisconsin area. As bad as it sounds, it did not stop him from his career in music and would lead him eventually to just becoming a composer. and he composed a lot of great songs. And during the Civil War and antebellum era, he would teach and compose songs related to the war, and also helped assist the Union effort as a drill sergeant who would train soldiers in Elkhorn called the Wide Awakes, which we all know. They're another Union soldier group from Wisconsin. Yeah. They're not as big as the Iron Brigade, obviously, but they are a very large,
smaller group, but still
smaller group. Yeah. He would go on to write ballads and hymns, including, some well-known pieces at this time. One being Lorena. He also opened what at the time were known as respectable saloon in the area. And a respectable saloon I had to laugh at because there is not
a respectable saloon in Elkhorn.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he attracted men who were talented with music and literature. One person who would eventually come under his wing was Sanford Fillmore Bennett, and would later help him come up with the lyrics for Sweet By and By, which is huge.
In the Sweet By and By, right there in Elkhorn.
Yeah, In the Sweet By and By came right from Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and that is like a Christian hymn.
Yeah.
A lot of people know this song. It's huge. It's massive.
A great little hymn ballad,
And so here's him speaking a little bit on the matter. So he came into my place of business in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, walked down to the stove and turned his back on me without speaking. I was at the desk. Turning to him, I said, "Webster, what is the matter now?" "It's no matter," he replied. "It will be all right by and by." And that's the idea of the hymn. That's how it kind of came about. And the Sweet By and By, he would reply, "Why would not that make a good hymn?" "Maybe it would," he said indifferently, turning into my desk. I penned the words of a hymn as fast as I could write. I handed the words over to Webster. As he read, his eyes kindled, and stepping to the desk, he began writing the notes. Taking his violin, he played the melody and then jotted down the notes of the chorus. It was not over 30 minutes from the time I took my pen to write the words before two friends with Webster and myself were singing the hymn, Sanford Fillmore Bennett, who was the guy who came into the respectable saloon that actually inspired him for this song.
Right.
So Webster would pass away on January 8th of 1875 at the age of 56 and is buried actually at Elkhorn's Hazel Ridge Cemetery.
That was January 18th.
January 18th of 1875. And we've been to the cemetery. I mean, a lot of kids used to go do creepy stuff in the cemetery, back by West Side.
Sons of Leroy live near the Hazel Ridge Cemetery.
And Joseph P. Webster, in the Sweet By and By We Shall Meet, which is one of his claims to fame. That's where his epitaph read on the thing. Yeah. And it's kind of like his claim to fame, I mean, if you have something famous you've done in your life, what is ours going to say? Wisconsin Drunken History, 2 drunk druids drinking beer.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay.
2 drunk druids.
Drunk druids. Hey, what druids? Hey.
2 unhealthy individuals who
drink a lot of beer.
Who consume
came
beverages.
Up with a podcast with music and Wisconsin history.
During a pandemic, decided to meet up.
So upon his death, his son Fred and his wife at the time, Mary Bird, would return to the home in 1930 to renovate the place. He was a teacher on the East Coast, but decided to return to his childhood home. And Fred would pass in 1948 and his wife in 1951, and they actually had no children to pass this house on to. And the relatives of the Websters were not interested in the property and would eventually sell the property to Walworth County, where we are from. The Walworth County Historical Society was leased the building for $1 per year, which is a goddamn good deal. Yeah,
well, that's the same deal as like what the Summerfest grounds were getting. It was like $1 a year.
And the home was restored and eventually opened as a museum in 1956 and officially opened on May 19th of 1957. On August 8th of 1970, the building was named as Wisconsin State Landmark and an official marker was installed. And it can be visited today, and it actually has a ton of memorabilia featuring like Civil War and Victorian era items.
Yeah.
And I remember the one that was like really cool to me. It was like the first 3D glasses. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like a picture you put in there and you like look through these like binocular type things and it actually makes a picture like pop.
Yep.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty cool technology for the time. And I think in the, it's the turn of the century, 1880s, 1890s. It's pretty neat technology, honestly.
Yeah. There's really not a whole lot of really cool stuff that comes out of that, but really neat house, really cool history, great stories. Of course, as we mentioned, Sweet By and By, which every single one of you have heard. That was penned. It was written right in Elkhorn at a sketchy shit saloon.
Respectable saloon. Come on. Hey,
respectable.
All right.
Which means most people had teeth and they kept their shirts on. But not everybody did.
Holy smokes.
So, I just remember the Red Room.
Oh,
that was
God.
probably the sketchy saloon that they had this in.
At the Red Room. Oh my God, dude.
But anyway,
I do have friends. I do have a lot of friends at the Elkhorn Saloon, which is probably the one I only visit. I visited it recently. Like, I knew Justin and his wife and their kid Ethan for like since I was a little guy. I used to babysit Ethan, which is crazy because now they've owned that saloon for a while.
It's crazy that anybody would allow you to babysit.
I don't know.
But that's the truth. Elkhorn Saloon. You kind of go back there, and there's always kind of a little bit of a reunion. That used to be the way about the bowling alley. But that doesn't exist anymore.
And it's cool because I saw old pictures from the saloon back in the day when my grandpa was there, and great grandpa actually had a couple brewskis there. And there's a picture of him sipping a couple Pabst Blue Ribbons there at the bar. It was really cool to see that, and it's just a really cool piece of Elkhorn history. The saloon's probably my favorite place to go in that town.
In Elkhorn, Moy's.
And we all know
food.
one bar where we used to go and racked up some tabs.
We don't say that name.
We don't say the name, but we racked up some tabs and had a lot of drinks there. And
but it was really close to the Blue Overall, which also doesn't exist anymore. They kind of changed.
I did not know that.
They sold out, and a new owner is there, and it's called something Blue. But yeah, I mean, just a really cool piece of unique Elkhorn history that a composer of such an amazing song did so right there in our little hometown. And I mean, in a way, I think it potentially even helped us and inspired us to become musicians. I think from an early age, I was always pounding on stuff, had 2 markers in my hand, pounding on a table, and really got interested in music. Got my first guitar at like 8 years old, and didn't really go on to that Webster's museum field trip until a little bit later, but I think it just kind of helped me in a subconscious way know that like even in Elkhorn you could become something cool.
Yeah, and I have to give a shout out to because Elkhorn did have a really good music program for learning music. Yeah. I mean, like
Mr.
for me,
Simonson, chorus teacher.
I mean, for like drums and like learning bass guitar notes, like it's kind of how I got my roots. I mean, it's where my roots are.
Turning me away from being a drummer. She told me, no, you can't.
I mean, like for me, I started on like the pad, and then I went to the snare drum, and then I ended up playing the drums, and then I started learning bass guitar, like the notes for bass guitar, and then I eventually went to guitar, which is kind of my main instrument I play now mostly. Mm-hmm. And it's just that town. Like we said, we have bad and good memories. It's if you get
all
a
of
chance,
them shaped us.
Yeah, and if you get a chance, definitely go and check out the Webster House. It's a really neat piece of like little history. I mean, they have cool taxidermy. It's a museum. You're gonna get a really cool tour.
And there's other really cool band related stuff to check out in Elkhorn as well. The Getson Band Company is there.
Huge! It's worldwide.
Holton Band Company. I don't know if they even still operate, but they're from Elkhorn, Wisconsin as well. And just a really cool band shell in the park there. Absolutely amazing stuff.
You know what's crazy is I travel a lot for work because I'm an engineer, right? So in Mexico, there was a band using Getson instruments as their trumpets. I'm like, this is just incredible. This came from our small little shit town in Wisconsin.
And most orchestras, most band pits probably feature at least a Getson instrument.
But yeah, that's going to conclude our main segment for today. And now on to our music segment.
All right. So again, with this music, this kind of takes Russ and I back to our most influential period.
Mid-2000s. Yeah. You think emo, pop punk, post-punk kind of thing?
Where all that sort of kind of came together, with the skate scene, if you will, and Warped Tour and all that stuff. This sort of is just super reminiscent of that time for us. And the band that we're featuring today, again, is North Breese. They are just an absolute fantastic example of what pop punk or power pop or, that angsty emo kind of stuff can really be.
Yeah, and these guys are coming out of the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. Yeah. They remind me a lot of the mid-2000s, fuse pop punk,
I think of Anne Berlin a lot.
Anne Berlin a little bit, definitely the red jumpsuit apparatus kind of along that line. Yeah. Maybe that post-punk. But dude, these guys like nailed it. Like they have the sound
Newfound
down.
Glory a little bit too.
Yeah, they have that sound like nailed down, and it's just phenomenal. It's from our state, and that we can claim like these guys are from Wisconsin.
I absolutely
I love this stuff.
I love the scene that we have. Again, the music is just so reminiscent of where Russ and I kind of started really becoming interested in music. We had already had our parents influence us with the Beatles and Rolling Stones and anything that you could call Vietnam era war music was always huge for us.
For the Doors and stuff.
The Doors.
Oh my God, Pink Floyd. I mean, I remember a story. Me and my dad were in a basement one time, and I don't necessarily know if he was smoking some green stuff, but I'm pretty sure he was. You know. And we were listening to Pink Floyd, The Wall, and like that album has been one of my favorites. And
amazing.
Like, it just reminds me, like, we just have such a foundation built here in Wisconsin, and these guys are just taking it to the next level, like something that we really loved growing up. And these guys are awesome and phenomenal, and I recommend you go and check them out. Their Bandcamp is awesome. It's so hard to pick a track when you get bands like this, you know?
Yeah, well, you listen to everything they have to offer, and you're just like, I don't know what to pick.
Everything's good. Like, every song rocks, you know? It's
I believe in this case, we actually had a little bit of their help to decide, but the song is called My Novocaine, and again, this is North Breeze.
Drug, you're my Novocaine. Follow my eyes and we'll dive off the deep end. All of your dirtiest secrets revealing. Under the covers, we're numb in the pain. You are my drug, you're my Novocaine. Let it be known this night's ours. Tell me every thought you're thinking. Pretty little retired sunset on a black lake mesmerizing. Warmest rain will pour down. Cross the bridge over Hassel. It's just us and a little white lies to feel this spark inside and watch the world ignore. I'm running out of words to describe how I'm feeling. Freeze out my throat, pull up through the ceiling. I can't step in, but I don't feel a thing. You are my drug, you're my Novocaine. Follow my eyes and we'll dive off the deep end. All of your dirty secrets revealing. Under the cover, numb in the rain. You are my drug, you're my Novocaine.
Whoa, I love it. What a really cool, just like I said, standard kind of example of exactly what power pop and pop punk and that can be. And
but go and check out their Bandcamp, their Facebook, their social medias. Like, they're just great. Another good band we got to go see, Eric.
I was just going to say another one of those ones that damn it. Once we have the chance and once they've announced everything, and maybe they have, by now, but go see them. I mean, I guarantee this is going to be one of those energetic, upbeat shows, and watch for them too, because they're probably going to be at bigger festivals soon enough. Riot Fest is right in our backyard every year in Chicago. So now on to our brew review segment, and this one looks like it's going to be tasty.
It's awesome. So this one's from Humble Forager, which is actually located.
Forager.
It's located in Waunakee, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And the one we're drinking today is actually called Cloud Hopping, and it is another oak cream IPA, which is really cool. This is like a new thing for me. This is really good. This one features Galaxy Mosaic, cryo Mosaic. So they must have like cryoed this sucker. Cashmere, Idaho 7. And I'm going to read off the can here real quick before we get into the actual review itself. This oat cream IPA has a ton of oats and is just a dash of lactose for a smooth, creamy body. We double dry hop this batch with Galaxy, Mosaic Cryo, Cashmere, and Idaho 7, creating a popping passion fruit character with a dank citrus tones. Take an adventure with us at humbleforagebrewing.com. And this one's awesome. The artwork, again, really cool.
Top notch.
I saw this can again. You're seeing the wing of a plane kind of going over like a lake, and you're seeing some like maybe pines. It's like a watercolor, you think? It's like a watercolor look.
Definitely, yeah. All pastels. It's like colors.
Yeah, it's really cool. You're seeing the wing of the plane. You're going over maybe Lake Michigan, I'm thinking, with the pines in the background there.
Maybe Lake Wandawega.
Perfect for this episode here.
Yeah.
But this one is, again, brewed in Waunakee, Wisconsin. And I'm going to take the first sip. Eric, your thoughts. I already did, yeah. Your initial thoughts.
I took a first sip, and it was absolutely delicious. I thought it was very similar to the former, like 2 episodes ago, we did the cream ale IPA, and it tasted great. And it's this one again is really balanced. You're getting actually the hoppiness kind of forward a little bit on this one too, which we didn't really get on that last one. I'm absolutely liking this.
Yeah, I think the hop for me that's coming through right away is the Idaho 7. Yeah. I'm getting an Idaho 7 hit on the back here. You're tasting a little bit of that Mosaic. You're getting a lot of that dry flavored. Yeah. It's carbed probably to perfection. I don't think this thing should be any more carb than it is. Yeah. Honestly, it's probably perfect for the type. Another where the collaboration.
A little bit of pininess on the really like. Yeah. After you've sipped and then you take a second for like a minute and then you're just like.
And it's another hop I'm not super familiar with is a cashmere. So I'm guessing that might be the more piney hop we're thinking here. But again, like the Galaxy, the Mosaic, and the
really
Idaho 7 we know very well. But again, just a fresh beer. It pours, it's a clearish light brown color, lightly carbonated, which is probably perfect for this because it's more of a creamy type IPA. Yeah. But I think the two collaborations together are making a really good beer. And it's new to me because these have kind of been popping up.
Good use of lactose on there.
Small amount of lactose.
Not quite like a milkshake. It's definitely less than that in I guess the thickness or creaminess of it. But still, I think what you said of the last one where it would be a good sort of introductory beer to somebody who's just trying to get out of some of the domestics and like, light beers. This one, again, would be a close one to try. It might be a little bit of a leap off the dock, but it's good.
It's not going right into the deep end though. It's kind of more the moderate. Like you can still bob. You know what I mean? Like this one's kind of in the middle there. And again, I mean, there's so many beers. I mean, and we're not picky. Like me and Eric drink shit beer. Oh, yeah. On top of everything, we drink a lot of shit beer.
A lot of Busch Light.
A lot of like High Life, a lot of Miller Lite, just shitty Wisconsin domestics and Busch Light, which is a huge Iowa staple. Everywhere you go in Iowa, do you ever notice that? People drink Busch Lattes.
Not really in Iowa a lot, but I can imagine it.
Yeah. It's kind of
Iowa and Nebraska.
Yeah, you sip this sucker down hard.
I'm sure it's probably there.
But again, man, this one is just phenomenally crafted. It is from Humble Forager, again, Waunakee, Wisconsin.
Really tasty.
6.5% ABV, so it's not on the super high end of IPAs, but it's it's upper. You're going to drink a 6-pack of these and probably equal a 12-pack of Busch Lattes.
Oh yeah, you're going to drink too many of these and feel pretty good.
But it's another one where the artwork is phenomenal. Like the Humble Forager, they have a lot of foraging things. They have a tent, compasses, a guy walking with a backpacks. You know, it's kind of that like Wisconsin Northwoods, getting a couple 2 tree mushrooms and bringing them home with you. The chicken of the woods there.
Finding your stuff as you go along, you know.
A couple oyster.
You're driving on the
mushrooms.
side of the road, all of a sudden you see a good wild asparagus or something.
Yeah, it's an asparagus patch. I'm stopping over, Barb. I'm going to go pick some of these bad boys there, and you just wait in the car. I'll be right back. It's kind of my thing here. This is a forager.
This is the guy.
This is the guy you're talking about here. And again, I found this one at a festival. It is, again, the Humble Forager Cloud Hopping Oat Cream IPA. Pick it up, try it out, tell us what you think, and on to our next segment.
Grab a seat, gather round, join us for a chat. How many locos you have?
Well, shit.
My folks, you know what that means. That's another edition of How many locos you had, brother?
Was that harmonizing? Did we just harmonize?
Harmonize?
Did we just hominids? Are we hominides?
We got a good one for you today.
We are just as drunk as this guy in this next article.
This is a Seymour man here, right?
Yeah. So De Pere, Wisconsin, is the office. The officers.
Ooh, doggy.
Way to rip it, baby. De Pere, Wisconsin. So a Seymour man was arrested for a 4th offense, operating while intoxicated.
Quattro.
He hit the quat. And he is 30 years old.
Okay.
He was found shoeless near the site of the crash early Sunday morning. Now, nobody was injured, just so you know. This was a single vehicle crash. The Wisconsin State Patrol was called out to I-41 near De Pere. The state trooper on the scene found a pair of shoes near the vehicle and later located the individual. The trooper reported that the 30-year-old male showed signs of impairment. That's pretty normal.
This is at 5:18 a.m.
Yeah.
This guy had a long night, dude.
I'm sure he probably crashed somewhere near like 3 or 4 o'clock. Yeah. According to the police report, the individual refused a field sobriety test, and a warrant was then issued by authorities for a blood draw, which that's the normal thing. If you're out on scene,
right, they're gonna have to figure it out.
Exactly. So if you refuse the field sobriety, they're automatically going to get a warrant, and it's going to be issued immediately, and you're going to go to the blood draw. The only thing that you have there is the hope and prayer that you're that close, right, that by the time you get to the hospital, the blood draw is low, you know. But it really never works. Anyway, the individual was later booked into the Brown County Jail on charges of 4th offense operating while under the influence, failure to install an ignition interlock device because of his previous offenses, the unsafe lane deviation, operating without a license, failure to report an accident, and hit and run property adjacent to the highway. So, long list of things that this guy is going to be nailed for.
So we don't have the blood draw, though, but we know the age. We got a lot of things here. And
He's
he did
30.
hit some property.
Probably signs. It's adjacent to highway, so that usually means
probably yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Sign
like
for
exit sign or something. Yeah. So this guy, okay. I mean, I have a number in my head, and I was kind of thinking about this. So
I've got a thought.
This guy's not like passed out because he's still operating, but he is on that limit there. He's on that limit.
They found him in a field.
He's on that limit.
They found him in a field,
and they did figure out he is drunk. Like his sobriety test.
He doesn't have shoes on.
I'm
going to tell you right now.
And it is April, right? April 5th is when this happened.
Yeah. So I think you're missing though a massive indicator here. So, but
no, go ahead.
No. I want to hear our numbers.
Okay.
I want to hear our numbers first, and then let's give our reasoning.
I think this guy, because he's a veteran, his age, and some of the things, I think I have my number here. And he is shoeless in April, which could be real. April in Wisconsin is still cold.
Well, let's give our numbers on 3. Good. Let's give our numbers, and then we will sort of try to reason with what we come up with. Okay?
Sounds good.
So 1, 2, 3, 14.
16.
Okay.
Because
you're higher than I thought you would be.
Yeah. So like what I'm thinking is like this guy, like because he's not functioning properly, his shoes are off in April, which in Wisconsin, April is still cold. We get snow in April still. It's cold as balls.
We get snow into like May, and I don't think I've seen
sometimes
June.
Early May for sure.
Early May for sure. I've seen May snows.
But this guy, like because of the shoes, because of him in the field, because of him not passing out,
we don't know. I mean, when they found him, they didn't say he was passed out.
He didn't give the AB. They didn't give a blood draw because he had to get. I mean, they didn't give a breathalyzer because he had a blood draw. So this guy,
right? He refused to the field.
He's a
sobriety.
veteran. He's a veteran of drinking, but being on this level and being a veteran of drinking, that's why I went to the 16.
But he's definitely not going to be an MVP. He's not going to be. He's not going to be in the Hall of Fame because
he's not the postman. He's not the postman of drinking here.
You refuse at the site. You know what's going to happen.
He's not a 90 Chicago Bowl of drinking?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
So you're thinking, what you were thinking, what was you 14?
I said 14.
I'm thinking 16. I think we got to meet in the middle here. I think we got to go with the 15 loco.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The DAC 15,
15 is 100% the answer here. And the reason why I went with 14 is because he clearly was of some sign of sound mind and body, because he said, "Oh shit, I crashed. I hit a sign. I need to get out of here." I don't know what the hell happened to his shoes, why he decided flop those babies off. But the thing is that then he was found in the field, which to me means he maybe got like exhausted after walking for like who knows,
it could
20,
be
30 feet. And then because on the side of the highways, you have to remember that's not usually good land. It's bumpy, it's hilly, there's sometimes maybe even farms. He probably only walked a short distance, got tuckered out, legs probably couldn't handle it. And you know what it's like when you're drunk. If you hit rough terrain, it takes your knees out pretty quickly. And once those knees are out, guess what? Night.
Right. You know what?
You're going to call it a night.
For me, I always do you know that like it was like probably in the Fuse kind of like which is funny because we have like that Fuse music today.
Yeah.
Do you remember the color Fred?
Yeah.
Get out, you're not driving.
Yeah.
That should have been this guy's thought in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my thought.
Fred from
Taking Back Sunday. I always think about it when I'm really drunk. I'm like, get out, you're not driving. Yeah, for sure. Like that's how I always think when I'm that drunk.
Yeah.
And this guy did not do that, but we're going 15 loco on here. You want us on the gavel on this, Eric? You feel comfortable?
15 is about as comfortable as I feel.
All right, today we're here with Eric from Modicum Brewery. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And we just wanted to hear a little history about Modicum and how you guys got your start.
Sure, yeah. So I started brewing professionally about 11 years ago, brewing for other breweries in the area. And, through the whole time I was brewing at other breweries, everyone kept asking me, when are you going to start your own brewery? And my answer was always, it was always never. I never wanted to open my own place. I just wanted to make beer. But just working at other breweries and as things progressed, I started to realize, if I really wanted to focus on the styles of beer that I wanted to make and do the things that I really wanted to do, that I was going to have to open my own place. So eventually just made the decision to do it. We opened in it's July of 2017. So we're coming up on our 4th anniversary here. Our whole approach is really, to be as small of a brewery as possible. We're a 5-barrel brew house. We average about 500 barrels a year of annual production. As a brewer who in the past has, brewed for constantly growing, constantly expanding breweries, that annual production just kept going up and up and up and up. It's definitely where I want to be. Constant growth is a serious headache, and it takes your focus away from the stuff that actually is important, like making good beer. So
right.
We just focus on making small amounts of
good quality
good quality beer, and
right.
we tend to we tend to focus more on, balanced styles. We don't brew a lot of crazy in your face, beers with a ton of, adjuncts or anything like that. We tend to focus a lot on kind of classic styles, or kind of new world takes on old world styles is kind of the thing we really tend to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of speaking to that, is there a particular beer or brew recipe that you're pretty fond of?
That's such a hard question.
I know. They're like your children, right?
Yeah. We brew so many different styles of beer. We're really kind of all over the place. As a brewer, when I first started out brewing professionally, I, just like a lot of people, I think I was really drawn into, brewing a wide range of styles and brewing a different beer every day. And when you get into production, brewing, that's really never the case. When you're production brewing on a commercial scale, you're typically just brewing the same beers over and over and over again.
Right, right.
People don't realize that when you have a flagship beer that's 70% of your sales, that means that 70% of the time you're brewing that beer.
Right. It's always in the kettle.
Yeah. So, when I first started out, I definitely was a little bored with brewing the same beers over and over again. And over the last 11 years of doing this for a living, I've actually kind of flip-flopped completely. And now I really like brewing the same beer over and over and over again, and trying to perfect it as much as I can, because that's, if people don't brew, they don't realize how difficult that is to, especially on a small scale, to brew, high quality beer over and over and over again.
And consistently,
Yeah, consistently. So I really love the challenge of that. So, I love a lot of the beers that we make, but one of my favorite beers to brew is our just straight up Munich style Helles.
Love Helles.
Really, really easy drinking pale lager, and it's, I think, one of the hardest styles of beer in the world to make, and it's really hard to make consistently. So as a brewer, I really appreciate the challenge. I love getting lost in the little details of technique and process, and trying to make that beer as perfectly as possible every single time we brew it.
Yeah, I as a consumer love Helles lagers. So.
Definitely, it's one of my favorites. Especially I've had my fair share of all the pale ales, IPAs, APAs, milkshake IPAs. It's once in a while I go back to like those Bocks or those lagers. They're kind of like, it's the step up from going from MGD to the craft beer world, and to make a perfect one is like exactly what you need in this market.
Yeah, everybody's trying.
It's awesome that you're doing that.
Yeah, and we brew lots of pale ale and other stuff too, and we brew, we brew a lot of Belgian styles and things like that as well. But we definitely brew a lot of lager. I've always been a lager fanatic ever since I really got into beer. And for a person like me, over the last 11 years, people have been saying, "Oh, this is the year of the lager. This is the year of the lager. Everyone's going to be into lager this year." And it never happened, and And I think now in the last year or two, craft beer drinkers are starting to turn to more traditional lager styles and really appreciating them. So that's exciting for me to see. I still love brewing other stuff too, but as a brewer, I really do love the challenge of brewing those styles. And when I'm done, working in the brewery all day, sweating to death and in a 100-degree brewery, it's the first thing I do is I go sit at the bar and pour myself a glass of Helles.
Yeah, I know for me and Eric, we obviously started in lagers like most people in high school. He's sipping them out of a Sendix bag at a party.
Yep.
So it's like,
I don't think I did that.
I did that, but hey, I was.
Yeah, it's funny to see how people have come full circle on that a little bit. We all started out drinking cheap American lager beer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And discovered craft beer and really got into a wide range of styles. And it's really funny to see people kind of come back around to revisit these lager styles, especially after they've you've drank saisons and double IPAs and Scottish ales and all kinds of different styles of beer, and you've developed a palate a little bit. and now you come back to these lager styles that before you thought were kind of boring and uninteresting, and now that you have the ability to really taste and express what it is you're tasting, it's like a whole new world opened up.
Awesome, Eric, and we can't wait to get down there. Honestly, we're both looking forward to like what is considered a new normal, and we cannot wait. And we hope we can make it down there. Maybe do a quick, maybe personalized tour just to come and see you, and maybe talk some more beer and Wisconsin history in general.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds great.
Cool. And then before we let you go, we got a few questions to ask you to find out how Wisconsin are you, which we always ask our guests if you're ready for it. All right.
Yeah, go ahead, shoot.
All right, so have you ever tailgated at a Brewers, Packers, or a Badgers game?
Yes, Lambeau Field.
Awesome. Have you hit all three?
I haven't hit all three. I'm actually really I don't really pay attention to Badgers or any of that stuff, just Packers. So, but yeah, Lambeau Field for sure, several times.
Absolutely.
Is there a beer you recommend for beer brats that you guys brew?
Oh, man, obviously the lagers are always great for boiling brats.
Right on.
But I think I think any of our Belgian beers work really, really well with brats. They bring a different level of something to the brats.
All right, so a Milwaukee question for you. Have you ever closed Wolski's?
I have not.
You have not closed Wolski's?
Good for you.
I mean, I couldn't do it now, but in my younger days I have closed Wolski's, so...
definitely in my 20s I had been there. Yeah.
Oh, we got a couple more for you. Have you ever been to Summerfest, and do you have a memorable band you've seen there?
Oh man, yes, I have been to Summerfest. This was a really I like a lot of music, but I'm kind of a heavy music fan, and one of my first times down at Summerfest a really long time ago, somebody was like, "Oh, you need to go check out this band. They're new and no one's ever heard of them before." And it was Seven Dust.
Nice.
Oh yeah, actually, like that guy Lejean has an awesome voice. It's pretty incredible.
They blew up and got like enormous after that, but they were on one of the side stages and like no one had ever heard of them before, and it was kind of funny. So that was really memorable for me.
Nice.
All right, so other than your brewery, do you have another brewery you recommend going to visit? And it doesn't have to be within Wisconsin; it can be anywhere.
Oh man, I mean,
it's such a tough question because there's like a million of them. You know what I mean?
It's impossible. There's so many good breweries out there.
Yeah.
Honestly, right now, off the top of my head, and it was because I was just there last week and it's fresh in my memory, but my good friend Ryan Verdon owns a brewery just west of us in Menominee called Brewery Nonic, and it makes some of the most perfect, like really, really traditional English cask ales, and they're just really, really good, and you can sit down and drink like 10 of them. So
awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'm really interested to try that.
Yeah, I've actually never heard of them, so I'm really excited. Like, obviously, like we both got our COVID shots, so we can't wait to get out and actually go and see more stuff now, which is considered the new normal, I guess. But
right.
I mean, I miss breweries, I miss music more than anything in the world.
I'm gonna wear a mask and a diaper.
A mask and a diaper. All right, yeah, you're covering both holes,
whatever.
So you're good.
Yeah.
But no, we appreciate your time, Eric, and we cannot wait, and we hope we can do like a little personalized tour and maybe sit down and talk more beer with you soon.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to it.
Eric, Thank you so much for your time on this Sunday, and we look forward to reaching out further.
All right.
Thanks
Sounds
a lot. Good.
All right.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Yeah, bye.
All right, that concludes this episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast.
If you enjoyed this vulgar display of Wisconsin, please like and subscribe on whatever streaming platform you prefer. And remember to hit the bell on YouTube to be notified when we release new content.
Also, if you have any suggestions or ideas for future episodes, please send us an email at widrunkenhistory@gmail.com or head over to our Facebook and Instagram pages.
Thanks again for listening, and remember, as always,
Watch out for deer on your way home.